For time and the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. John F. Kennedy. Welcome to EOS Weekly. We've got a great episode for you today. This is our 20th episode, and so we thought we'd use this as an opportunity to take you on a little trip. But not any ordinary trip. Today we're going to take you on a trip into the future, all the way to the year 2020 to celebrate our 20th episode. More specifically, it is the summer of 2020, and the EOS community has just celebrated its 2-year anniversary of the mainnet launch. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 whole years. So much has happened that it seems like it's been more like a decade since the launch. But we've all been so busy and moving so fast that those years have gone by in the blink of an eye. Look at what's in place. The ecosystem is so rich, with so many options and so much robustness. In hindsight, we should have noticed the trend of how many EOS.io blockchains were going live. I think we thought it would slow down, not speed up. I guess it's just that while it's happening, it's hard to see the trend. Only in hindsight does it seem obvious. First, Ono launched on a private chain, then Telos, then Warbly, and then Bitfinex's EOS Finex. That all happened back in 2018. Ono and EOS Finex would be the first of a series of private EOS.io blockchains. Dozens more not shown here would spin up throughout 2019, and those are just the ones we know about. There are rumors, pretty well established rumors, that the US government has spun up what is possibly the highest performant of all the EOS blockchains. But what they are doing with this blockchain has not yet been made public. What we do know is that the government has been hiring Virginia Tech students in droves. You see, Virginia Tech is now challenging MIT for the position as the top computer science school in the US. Which one is top dog is debated, but it is well accepted today that the blockchain curriculum at Virginia Tech is second to none. This is because Virginia Tech was the first university where Block.One sponsored the blockchain program, helping set the curriculum and create the textbooks and providing real-world lab-type assignments and examples. And when the numbers were released showing how many blockchain programmers coming out of Virginia Tech had been hired by the US government, the dominant conspiracy theory was that the government had its own instance of an EOS.io blockchain. Most believe they were trying to create a new currency on top of EOS, some sort of government-sponsored stablecoin to replace the US dollar. You see, we should explain that it's been a rough few years for the US dollar. After the financial collapse of 2019, the dollar's position as the world's reserve currency took a serious hit. The dollar isn't dead or anything as of today. It's still alive and doing better than most fiat currencies in the world. But hyperinflation has run rampant across much of the globe, the US dollar included. The central banks had to crank up the printing presses during the meltdown, but some of them went a little too far. EOS has come to be a household name. For the most part, people have a very positive outlook on EOS. There was even a commercial that aired during the 2020 Super Bowl where grade school kids were asked, "What is EOS?" in an unrehearsed setting, and the kids then described EOS in their own words. One of the kids says it's like the internet wasn't really done before, and EOS is like the more done version of the internet. Another kid says how EOS makes it so you can get paid for doing stuff that people used to just do for free for some reason. And while he's saying that, the commercial cuts to real-world people earning income for their everyday activities. A high school girl says you used to not have very good control of your data and your own identity on the internet, that your identity could even be stolen. But because of EOS and stuff like Lumios, now you have total control over your identity and all of your data. The funny thing is this wasn't even a Block.One commercial, as you might expect. It was a commercial for the Khan Academy. But going back to all the EOS chains popping up everywhere, even Apple joined the game and is launching their own EOS blockchain. To start with, their entire App Store and iTunes systems will be run on their private EOS instance. But rumor has it that they are adding a set of smart contract libraries that will enable iOS developers to easily add smart contracts into their apps. These smart contracts will be stored on the same Apple blockchains, powered by EOS.io. Of course, the Apple block producers won't be elected. They are being set up by Apple, strategically positioned at secure locations around the globe, and will be run by Apple employees. But Apple is making their data center specifications for their block producers publicly available. And these are world-class operations, beautifully designed, of course. And Apple is planning to offer a certification program where they will train aspiring block producers on how to set up a robust, secure BP infrastructure. And you can even get Apple certified, which is helpful in getting elected on certain chains. There's plenty of demand for experienced EOS block producers. It's not just the 21 running the mainnet. Besides all the private EOS chains spinning up, there are also the industry-specific EOS chains, of which Warbly was the first of many, and the experimental EOS chains, of which Telos was the first of many. The experimental blockchains try new methods of reaching higher heights in the world of performance and scalability, and they run a whole gamut of governance models as well. Selecting an EOS blockchain to run your business is like choosing a country to live in, each with its own constitution, each with its own pros and cons. But there are plenty of consultants out there who understand all the differences and can help you make a smart choice. Some of the EOS chains popping up right now actually specify a certain country where the laws of that country will apply to any disputes that arise on that blockchain. So businesses and organizations go through this selection process. The EOS mainnet is the most conservative of them all. Mainnet token holders only approve referendum proposals once they've had some real-world action on one of the experimental chains. That goes for performance enhancements as well as governance enhancements. What this means, though, is if you want the highest possible performance, you are going to have to be willing to live with a little more risk. It's kind of funny how you can see the personality of the company reflected in which flavor of the EOS blockchain they choose. Many games, for example, moved to the riskiest but the highest performance chains. They needed that extra boost of speed to stay competitive, and they were willing to live with the risk that comes with it. Telos is slightly more experimental than the mainnet, but it too has enough applications running on it that Telos has to be a bit conservative with untested changes. But while they have a reputation for being conservative when it comes to performance/scalability enhancements, Telos is willing to try some cutting-edge stuff on the governance side of things. They pride themselves on being known as the most decentralized of all the EOS chains, and they're willing to try out cutting-edge governance ideas if they believe it'll help them maintain that reputation. Warbly was the first industry-specific chain geared towards the financial industry, but others would soon follow in their footsteps. MDEOS launched in the fall of 2019, which is an EOS blockchain geared specifically for the healthcare industry. And Tally was created specifically for government elections, although it recently came out that some high schools have also been using Tally for their class elections. But what's starting to happen now is the blockchains themselves are becoming boring when compared to the apps being built on top of them. It's like the early days of the internet when it comes to the disruption that is underway with all these new applications. Emanate and apps like it are making it lucrative again to make great music. This is causing there to be a surge of incredible music created across all genres. Musicians no longer have to endlessly tour in order to make ends meet. They can spend more time in the studio. Same thing with photographers and videographers, niche content of every kind. People are saying that we are entering the golden age of art and creativity in general. People are able to spend their time creating and earning revenue from their creations. And the dApps built on the EOS ecosystem is what's driving this golden age of creativity. Peer-to-peer exchange is beginning to put a serious dent in Amazon sales. Amazon is trying to position itself as the search engine and reputation system in this new peer-to-peer world, but they were a bit late to adopt and accept stablecoins on their platform. And during the 2019 meltdown, when fiat currencies were becoming extremely volatile, dApps built on EOS that facilitated peer-to-peer exchange among local producers and local consumers, in other words, neighbors trading with neighbors, became one of the fastest growing industries. Trade local is becoming a popular slogan among the presidential candidates in the US 2020 election. Candidates are trying to make the case for why they are more pro-local than their competitors. And during debates, candidates will try to paint their opponent as having a centralization mindset. A vote for me, they say, is a vote for decentralization. Facebook is still the most used social networking site for now, but it's losing ground. The new decentralized social networking app, called Connect, is superior in many ways, and the younger generation knows it. Facebook is used mainly by baby boomers who don't have the motivation to switch over to a new tool. But on college campuses, Connect is the most used social networking system. Connect was launched by Block.One in the spring of 2019. On Connect, each human being is able to create one and only one account. Then, you get paid. You get paid a daily stipend of Connect tokens. They call this daily stipend the URI. But you also earn tokens for content creation. Incentives are aligned in such a way that it would be detrimental to spread your content creation across multiple accounts. So even though some have tried to game the system to get double or triple their URI payments, in the long run, it's not worth the effort because you earn less on the content creation side, and everybody is creating content. Connect runs on the EOS mainnet, but through IBC, inter-blockchain communication, the mainnet is able to talk to other EOS blockchains. For example, South Korea was the first country to run a major government election on-chain. It did this by using Connect to ensure each individual got one and only one vote. And then through IBC, Connect connected with the voting app on the Tally blockchain. There is a movement to use Connect together with Tally for the upcoming US presidential election in November, but we're not sure yet if that's going to pan out. Confidence in these blockchain-based voting systems is growing, but some would still like to see it proved out a little longer before using it in a US presidential election. Opponents point to the few times where people were able to create more than one Connect account, which would double their voting power. But a few hurdles aside, Connect is quickly becoming the identity system for dApps to use across the EOS ecosystem. Regardless of which blockchain your dApp is running on, Connect makes it dead simple to authenticate securely, which is done through IBC, inter-blockchain communication. And then Connect users have complete control over what level their data is shared versus kept private. Privacy is one of the biggest selling points of Connect over the centralized social networks. And then there's the oracles. Oracles are proving to be one of the most interesting areas in the blockchain space at the moment. The first use case for oracles was connecting the gambling dApps with data from sporting events. But soon after that, the price of commodities became a highly competitive space where each oracle was trying to prove their data, the price of oil, gold, silver, corn, was more current and more accurate. Because exchanges connected to more accurate and more current pricing data had a huge advantage over the other exchanges. The next hottest use cases for oracles is data related to the weather, the geo-coordinates of trucking containers for logistics and the Internet of Things, and health metrics for both humans as well as livestock. It's become generally accepted that proof of work, while a brilliant initial concept by Satoshi Nakamoto, the concept we needed as a stepping stone to build these third-generation blockchains, proof of work was just not scalable for real-world usage. All the top blockchains have switched over to delegated proof of stake, DPoS, throughout 2019 and into 2020. In fact, 9 of the 10 most used blockchains are DPoS blockchains. And of those 9, 7 of them are running EOS.io code. EOS could not have come at a better time. It was sufficiently advanced, but not so far ahead of its time so as to be unfamiliar. People were ready for it. Dan Larimer referred to it in an interview on 60 Minutes. He referred to EOS as a life raft, something that got here just in time when the ship of centralization was about to go under. Decentralization is the movement to be a part of at the moment. All the big celebrities are jumping on the decentralization bandwagon. And in their interviews, they always try to say something intelligent about EOS. The chestahedron is becoming the de facto symbol for the decentralization movement, and some of these celebrities are proud to show off their new chestahedron tattoo as a way to show solidarity with the movement. Hundreds of blockchain developers have contributed code to the various EOS blockchains. It is extremely competitive to get your code change committed to one of these chains. But it is a badge of honor when your code commit does go live on a chain, especially if your change makes it all the way to the mainnet. Even today, less than 100 individuals have contributed to the mainnet code. People with code on the EOS mainnet can basically write their own ticket. The sky is the limit for these blockchain developers. Block.One is still the manager of the main EOS.io codebase, but even the code changes Block.One makes get implemented on one of the experimental chains first. Block.One even contributes to the private chains when commissioned to do so. Rumor has it that Dan Larimer himself consulted with Apple on their private implementation of EOS. But the big project we're most excited about right now is a virtual reality project that Block.One has been hinting at. Dan has been dropping little one-liners in his Connect feed. We don't know exactly what it is, but it sounds like high fidelity is involved and that it's going to use your Connect identity to create a virtual world that's tied to your real-world identity. Kind of like Ready Player One, but without the dystopian side of things. That's it for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed this glimpse into what EOS might look like in a few years. What do you think? Is this about how things will look in 2020? Anything we missed? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks again to all our viewers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week right here on EOS Weekly.